Hey, happy Saturday. I thought I'd share a couple of thoughts with you. Uh, when we work with clients and they ask us to assess a sales team, why a seller may not be as effective as some of the others, inevitably we come across somebody that is in an alignment issue, meaning they don't really want to be salespeople. And more often than not, when I ask them why they're in sales, it's because the company gave them no real alternative, meaning they wanted to make more money, and the only way to make more money in that company was to go into sales, so therefore they go into sales. Almost like it's, do you want to go in this door or that door? The truth is, there are different behaviors required for people to be successful in sales. They may desire more money, they are going to lack the intrinsic motivation to do what's necessary to be successful. That's the idea behind the alignment thing. Ultimately, that pays off in horrific ways under pressure and so forth. So as you start putting accountability on somebody like that, they're the ones that are most readily likely to leave the company or ask for transfer or act out in other ways because while they can tolerate it, they can't tolerate if there's accountability as well in a job that they're not intrinsically motivated to do, where it doesn't align also with their behaviors. And also, it may not even be like that they don't just have the behaviors, they may not believe in sales. I'll give you an example. When I was a military officer for 10 years, and when you transition from military officer, there's a lot of these recruiting firms that work with us that put us in front of corporate America, right? And so there were 80, 90 of us in there in one of these sessions with the recruiting firm, and they said basically, they're going through the different types of jobs. Hey, have you thought about what you want to do when you leave the military, which type of role you want to get into, et cetera? And then they ask the audience, the crowd, the candidates, how many of you want to go into sales? I think out of 90-ish, about 6 of us raised our hands. I knew I wanted to do sales. I've done it before. It's inevitably what I like to do. I like to help people. And then the recruiter got up on the whiteboard and started showing how, the technical fields, the engineers and so forth would come out at a higher rate than the average salesperson on initial pay. Everybody liked that idea. And the salesperson's down here, in their initial pay. And then they cross over at about 3 or 4 years. And then 5 and 10 years down the road, the technical person's barely ticking up, and the salesperson has the ability to escalate beyond that, and so forth. So in other words, indicating that in general, successful sellers, especially technical sellers, tend to make a lot more money than, say, a developmental engineer and those type of things. They were kind of showing us the difference between technical and sales degrees, whatever. And after that explanation, they said, now, how many people are interested in sales? And, 20 or 30 people's hands go up. And then they went through a deeper discussion. And they would ask the crowd, why do you not want to go into sales? And I go, it's just kind of icky. I don't want to go door to door. And they're like, well, do you think people buy aircraft carriers door to door, or fighter jets, or satellites, or rocket ships, or whatever it might be? And then, of course, the answer is inevitably no, it's not. So, well, that's sales. Sales is determining what a client needs, fitting your proposal to that, and then making sure you're delivering on expectations and so forth. They give those kind of explanations. And so they're explaining, painting a picture for the audience why people that were in engineering and physics and so forth make successful sellers. It's just about the product and so forth, right? Technical sales in this case. So they ask the question again, some more hands go up. And ultimately, there are people that are saying, I just don't want to do sales for a lot of reasons, right? And that's fair. But my thing is that it's your beliefs about sales, is what that demonstrated, can be changed pretty quickly when you redefine sales. If your experience with salespeople has been really negative, at the time buying cars in the 80s and 90s was a miserable experience, maybe I don't know if it's still the same or not, it's not that bad for me, but for some people it's really bad apparently. And so they changed how cars were bought. In fact, Tesla doesn't even go through a dealership, right, anymore. The price is the price. Do you want it or don't you? You either want the value or you don't. But that's a different model. But a lot of people in the car dealerships would go to those and they would have a vision of sales being like a car salesperson or a door-to-door salesperson. And they hadn't delineated between that type of salesperson and that type of product, that type of methodology, and a more complex methodology. So their belief in sales was very much not aligned with being a salesperson. And then the next is, do they have the behaviors to do what's necessary? Because even if you do think that, hey, that's kind of a cool job, you still have to do things, be motivated to do things on terms of the client. And so we look at that alignment. Belief on sales, alignment with sales, alignment with the product. Do you believe in the product? Do you believe in the company you sell for? All those type of things. But I would tell you that sales gets a bum rap in some cases. And on one hand. On the other hand, there's also a truth that it takes a unique personality to be successful, and that fit needs to match with what you're selling. Is it transactional, consultative, or enterprise? Is it long-term, short-term cycle? All those kind of things. We have to match the seller with the job. We have to make sure that behaviorally they're suited to be a salesperson what the company needs, those type of things. So I thought I'd share that with you, a little bit of a weekend rant, if you will. I'm going to post this here on my YouTube site and on LinkedIn. Thanks.